I'm standing here because I need to tell you something that most people will never hear at the right moment. There are days that quietly change the direction of your entire life. Not because the world suddenly notices you, not because money appears overnight, and not because luck finally decides to smile in your direction. Everything changes because one sentence enters your mind and refuses to leave. Today, imagine hearing these words: "My mom chose you," not as a promise of fate, not as magic, but as a symbol of the highest form of trust. Someone looked beyond appearances, beyond status, beyond temporary success, and recognized something that cannot be bought. They saw your character before your achievements. They saw your heart before your victories. They saw the person you were becoming long before the world would ever applaud you. That kind of belief is rare. And when someone sees greatness inside you before you see it yourself, you have only two choices. You can spend your life trying to prove them wrong, or you can rise until their faith becomes your reality. Most people spend years chasing approval from strangers while ignoring the people who truly matter. They build expensive lifestyles to impress people who will forget them tomorrow. Yet they overlook the quiet voices that believed in them when they had nothing. Think about that for a moment. Before the trophies, before the promotions, before the applause, every extraordinary person had someone who saw potential hidden beneath uncertainty. That belief became fuel. It became the invisible foundation beneath every visible success. The world celebrates confidence, but confidence is often born from borrowed belief. Someone believes in you until you finally believe in yourself. I have met people who inherited wealth yet lived with empty spirits. I have also met people who owned almost nothing, except an unshakable conviction that they were created for something greater. Guess which group eventually changed their lives? It wasn't the people with the biggest bank accounts. It was the people who refused to let temporary circumstances define permanent identity. They understood a truth that successful entrepreneurs eventually discover: your external world is always trying to catch up with your internal world. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, your actions become hesitant. If your mind is filled with certainty, your decisions become bold. Opportunities are not attracted to fear. They are attracted to preparation, clarity, and courage. That is why belief matters so much. Not because belief magically creates results, but because belief changes behavior. When you truly believe you are capable of building something meaningful, you stop waiting for permission. You stop asking whether you deserve success. You begin asking a different question: how can I become the kind of person who creates value every single day? That question changes everything. It shifts your attention from wishing to working, from dreaming to doing, from hoping to becoming. Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain just before sunrise. The valley below is covered in darkness, and for a moment it seems as though the light will never arrive. Yet the sun does not ask the darkness for permission. It rises because rising is its nature. Your potential works the same way. There will be seasons when nothing seems to move. Doors remain closed, people overlook you, plans fail, doubts grow louder. But none of those moments have the authority to define your future unless you surrender your belief. Every sunrise begins while the world is still dark. Every breakthrough begins while everyone else still believes nothing is happening. Then understand this: belief is only the invitation. Transformation is the response. The world is full of people who were given opportunities they never honored, promises they never fulfilled, and trust they slowly destroyed because they believed potential alone was enough. It never is. Potential is a seed, character is the soil, discipline is the water, consistency is the sunlight. Without those, even the greatest promise remains buried beneath the surface, unseen and unrealized. If someone places their trust in you, they are not choosing the person you are only today. They are choosing the person you are willing to become tomorrow. That is a responsibility. The moment someone believes in you, excuses become heavier than effort. Complaining becomes more expensive than growth. Every sunrise becomes a reminder that another day has been placed into your hands, asking one simple question: will you become who you said you would be? I learned something that changed my life forever. Success does not begin when your bank account grows. Success begins the morning you keep a promise to yourself that nobody else even knows you made. The day you wake up before your excuses. The day you choose discipline over comfort. The day you continue working after motivation disappears. That is the day your future quietly starts taking shape. People think confidence comes from winning. They are wrong. Confidence comes from evidence. Every time you keep your word, every time you finish what you started, every time you choose courage over convenience, you collect evidence that you are becoming someone who can be trusted. Eventually, your mind has no choice but to believe what your actions have repeatedly proven. That is why the strongest people in the world are rarely the loudest. Their confidence was built one disciplined day at a time, not in front of an audience, but in moments when no one was watching. Picture an architect standing before an empty field. To everyone else, it looks like ordinary land. But in the architect's mind, there are already foundations, walls, windows, and towers reaching toward the sky. Vision always arrives before construction. In the same way, your future must exist in your imagination before it exists in your reality. If you cannot see yourself becoming wiser, stronger, healthier, and more valuable, you will unconsciously keep building the same ordinary life over and over again. This is where most people lose the battle. They allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. One rejection convinces them to stop trying. One failure convinces them they are not capable. One criticism becomes louder than 100 reasons to continue. They hand the steering wheel of their future to people who will never live with the consequences of those decisions. Never do that. Never allow someone else's limited vision to become the ceiling over your limitless potential. There is an old saying in business: value attracts opportunity, wealth follows value, respect follows consistency, influence follows integrity. The people you admire did not become extraordinary because life was easier for them. They became extraordinary because they learned to solve bigger problems than everyone around them. Every challenge became training. Every setback became education. Every disappointment became preparation for responsibilities they had not yet received. The moment you adopt that mindset, hardship begins to look different. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That single question transforms frustration into fuel. Suddenly, delays are no longer punishments, they are classrooms. Failures are no longer endings, they are blueprints. Closed doors are no longer rejection, they are redirection toward opportunities that require a stronger version of you. There will be mornings when progress feels invisible. You will wonder if your effort matters. You will question whether all the sacrifices are worth it. In those moments, remember how mountains are formed, not in one dramatic event, but through countless unseen shifts beneath the surface. The greatest changes in your life often happen long before anyone can recognize them. While others think nothing is happening, your habits are rewriting your identity. Your discipline is strengthening your character. Your patience is preparing you for responsibilities that would have crushed the person you used to be. Never underestimate the quiet seasons. The tree does not apologize because its roots are growing where no one can see them. The eagle does not ask permission before it rises above the storm. The river does not stop because rocks stand in its way. Nature itself teaches a lesson that many people forget. Progress is rarely loud. It is steady. It is faithful. It is relentless. There comes a moment in every meaningful journey when life stops asking what you want and starts asking what you are willing to become. That moment separates dreamers from builders, spectators from creators, and those who wait for perfect timing from those who create it. Most people spend years searching for a sign that they are destined for something greater, while ignoring the truth that destiny is shaped by the decisions made on ordinary days. Greatness is not hidden in one extraordinary opportunity. It is hidden in thousands of ordinary choices made with extraordinary commitment. One day you will look back and realize that the hardest chapters of your life were never trying to destroy you. They were introducing you to yourself. Every sleepless night taught you endurance. Every disappointment taught you wisdom. Every closed door taught you to build your own entrance. Every person who underestimated you unknowingly became part of your training. Without those moments, you would have remained comfortable, and comfort has never produced remarkable lives. Remember this whenever life becomes difficult. Pressure is not always a punishment. Pressure is often proof that something valuable is being formed. Diamonds are shaped under pressure. Steel is strengthened by fire. The strongest minds are built by overcoming challenges that once seemed impossible. If your path feels heavy today, Perhaps it is because you are carrying a future that demands stronger shoulders. The people who transform industries, inspire generations, and leave lasting legacies rarely have perfect circumstances. They simply refuse to let imperfect circumstances control perfect determination. They understand that excuses and excellence cannot live in the same mind. Every excuse delays the future. Every disciplined action brings it closer. So stop measuring your life by how far you still have to go. Measure it by who you are becoming. Are you more disciplined than you were a year ago? More patient? More focused? More valuable to the people around you? That is real progress. Wealth can disappear, fame can fade, opportunities can come and go, but the person you become can create success again and again, because your greatest asset is not what you own, it is who you are. Imagine your future self standing a decade ahead, looking back at this exact moment. What would that version of you want you to do today? Would they ask you to quit because the road is difficult? Or would they beg you to keep moving because they know the extraordinary life waiting on the other side of your persistence? Your future is quietly depending on the choices you make while nobody is applauding. This is why you must guard your mind with relentless intention. Feed it vision instead of fear. Feed it purpose instead of distraction. Feed it discipline instead of excuses. Every thought you repeatedly entertain becomes a blueprint for your actions. Every action repeated long enough becomes your identity, and your identity ultimately determines the quality of your life. Stand up each morning with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that success is earned before it is seen. Walk into every room with humility, but never with self-doubt. Speak with kindness, but let your standards remain unshakable. Build your future one decision at a time, knowing that every honest effort is another brick in the foundation of a remarkable life. Never forget this powerful truth. The world doesn't simply reward talent, it rewards value. Become so valuable through your character, your knowledge, your discipline, and your willingness to serve that opportunities begin searching for you. When you solve bigger problems, bigger doors begin to open. When you become dependable, trust follows. When you become consistent, influence follows. When you become excellent, success becomes a byproduct rather than a destination. So if you ever hear the words, "Mom chose you," don't hear them as a promise that life will be easy. Hear them as a reminder that someone saw qualities worth believing in. Let that belief challenge you to become worthy of every opportunity that comes your way. Let it remind you that your greatest competition is not another person. It is the version of yourself that settles for less than your potential. Today is your turning point, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you decided to change the way you think, the way you act, and the way you respond to adversity. The life you dream about is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for leadership. It is waiting for courage. It is waiting for disciplined action repeated long after the excitement has faded. So rise with purpose, build with integrity, learn without arrogance, lead without fear, give more value than anyone expects. Protect your vision when no one else can see it. Stay faithful to the process when results are invisible. One day, people will call your success overnight. They will never see the thousands of silent victories that made it possible. And when that day arrives, don't simply celebrate what you've achieved. Celebrate the person you became along the way, the individual who refused to surrender, who transformed pain into power, doubt into determination, and ordinary days into an extraordinary life. That is the real victory. That is the legacy no one can take from you. And that journey begins now, with the next decision you make. Choose it wisely. Your future is already watching. The most extraordinary lives are not built by people who never experienced fear. They are built by people who learned to move, while fear whispered in their ears. Courage is not the absence of uncertainty. Courage is deciding that your purpose is louder than your doubts. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be voices telling you that someone else is more talented, more connected, more experienced, or more deserving. Ignore them. History has never belonged to those who waited until they felt ready. It has always belonged to those who acted while they were still becoming. One of the greatest misconceptions about success is that it arrives as a destination. It does not. Success is a lifestyle. It is the habit of choosing excellence when mediocrity would be easier. It is the discipline of showing up when motivation disappears. It is the decision to stay honest when shortcuts seem profitable. Every great achievement you admire is simply the visible result of thousands of invisible decisions made with integrity. Think about the builders of the world's greatest companies. Before the headlines, there were lonely mornings. Before the applause, there were countless failures. Before the wealth, there were sacrifices nobody celebrated. People admire the victory, but rarely appreciate the preparation. They see the finished masterpiece, but never witness the years spent laying one brick after another. Your life is no different. Every choice you make today is another brick. The question is simple. Are you building a prison of excuses or a foundation of freedom? There will be seasons when life strips away everything familiar. Friends may leave. Plans may collapse. Opportunities may disappear without warning. In those moments, do not panic. Storms reveal what sunshine cannot. They expose weak foundations, but they also uncover hidden strength. Sometimes life removes what is comfortable, because comfort has become your limitation. Sometimes a closed chapter is the only way a greater story can begin. Do not confuse delay with defeat. The seed beneath the soil appears lifeless, yet it is preparing for a breakthrough no one can see. The archer pulls the arrow backward before it flies forward. The ocean pulls its waves away from the shore before sending them crashing with incredible force. Nature constantly reminds us that moving backward for a season does not mean you are losing. It often means you are gathering the momentum required for a greater leap. This is why your mindset is your greatest investment. Money can multiply, skills can be learned, opportunities can be created, but if your thinking remains trapped in fear, every blessing will feel too heavy to carry. Expand your mind before you expand your income. Strengthen your character before you strengthen your influence. Because if success arrives before wisdom, success can become your greatest weakness. But when wisdom comes first, success becomes sustainable. Look into the mirror and ask yourself a question that demands complete honesty. Who am I becoming through the choices I make every day? Not who do I pretend to be online. Not who do I hope people think I am. Who am I when nobody is watching? That answer determines your future more than any degree, title, or paycheck ever will. Never underestimate the power of quiet consistency. One page read every day becomes a library of wisdom. One disciplined workout becomes a healthier body. One courageous conversation repairs a broken relationship. One business idea, improved daily, becomes an empire. Greatness is rarely born in dramatic moments. It is patiently assembled through small victories that most people overlook because they seem insignificant. And if life has knocked you down more times than you can count, listen carefully. The fact that you are still here means your story is not over. Every breath you take is another opportunity to rewrite the next chapter. The failures behind you are not final verdicts. They are unfinished lessons. Learn them. Carry their wisdom, but never carry their weight. Your past should educate you, not imprison you. One day, someone will ask how you changed your life. They will expect you to reveal one magical secret, one lucky break, one extraordinary moment. Smile, because the truth is far more powerful. Tell them your life changed the day you stopped waiting for confidence and started building it. The day you stopped blaming circumstances and started taking responsibility. The day you realized that your future would never be created by wishful thinking but by disciplined action, repeated with relentless faith. So walk forward with your head high. Not because the road is easy, but because your purpose is greater than every obstacle standing before you. Let every setback sharpen your focus. Let every challenge strengthen your resolve. Let every victory remind you to stay humble. Continue becoming the person your dreams require, because dreams only become reality when someone is willing to grow into them. The world does not need another person living beneath their potential. It needs someone willing to lead with courage, serve with integrity, create with vision, and inspire through action. Let that someone be you. Build a life so meaningful that your success becomes more than personal achievement. It becomes proof that ordinary people, making extraordinary decisions day after day, can leave an unforgettable mark on the world. This is your moment. Not because fate guarantees an outcome, but because you have the power to choose your response. Choose discipline over distraction. Choose growth over comfort. Choose courage over fear. Choose purpose over popularity. Then keep choosing those things until they become your identity. Because in the end, the greatest victory is not that you reached the top of the mountain. The greatest victory is that, while climbing it, You became the kind of person capable of standing there with humility, strength, and an unshakable belief that the best chapters of your life are still ahead.